Hey loves, it's Britt. And today I want to talk about natal sun opposite to Pluto, this super intense aspect that you can have in your natal chart. So, this one can bring some problems with the ego where we don't realize how forcefully we're expressing our sense of self or our confidence. So we can have a very overbearing nature with this opposition. But the interesting thing about it is that we don't always realize that that is coming from within us. Often we think it's coming from the outer world, and it often, in fact, is. This is a placement that does have a tendency to attract people that are very egotistical or narcissistic or even violent or criminals in some extreme cases. This is like the classic aspect of like the woman who gets involved with a criminal or something like that in a relationship, because the sun for a woman can sometimes be projected onto the men that she ends up being with in a relationship. Not always, but sometimes. So there can be some of that going on here as well. We can see some very intense relationships with this opposition, and yeah, they seem to be quite unaware of how forceful they can come off with this opposition. It can feel very invasive, being around people with this opposition. And some, like, you can have other aspects that really soften this, but there's still a very, like, penetrating quality to their energy where it's like, you really feel seen by them, but sometimes too much so. It's like the person with the sun opposite to Pluto is like wielding this plutonic power over you, and they're seeing things, they're exposing you, is kind of what it feels like. So, this is actually an excellent aspect for like therapists, healers, like people working one on one with people in a healing sense, because they have this way of like fully seeing you and like bringing out the darkness, bringing out all the muck of the pain and the trauma and the, even disgusting things that have happened to you. Like they can pull it out of you, like, and actually heal you if they have the right intentions. Now, sometimes we can see people with this opposition wanting to remake people without their consent. This can happen in relationships where you get involved with someone and you love them, but just if they change every single thing about them, and you will be the one that helps them do that. Now, is that really love, or is that some form of, codependency and control? So that can happen with this opposition, is a tendency to have this uncontrollable need to transform others that should be focused on you, because there has been something that happened to you, probably in your early life, childhood, or even in past lifetimes. There's been something that has wounded you so deeply that whenever you try to look within, there's like a block there, and you want to project blame outwards. There's like a fear almost with this aspect of seeing what is there. Like the trauma is so deep that like if you even look at it for a second, there you can freeze up and be filled with fear or even terror. So there's been something that has happened, usually with this opposition, that has been just horrible in the childhood. As far as the child feeling a sense of confidence and self esteem and even like existing, there could have been a real feeling of unwantedness or ridicule. Like the child could have been made to feel embarrassed of their own identity, and that's why they now project it out so strongly or not at all. We can see an opposite manifestation of this where the person is very insecure, but something has happened to the ego, to the identity very early on that has created this block. So, very similar to Sun squaring Pluto, there's been something very impactful, likely the father. It could have been the father, it could have been a paternal energy that has really destroyed their sense of self and confidence from a very early age. So there could have been an abusive father, there could have been an abusive stepfather or a criminal father or something that really brought a level of darkness and fear, and it might have not been the father. It could have just been something in the early life situation, but the son is often the father. So we could have seen him to be very controlling. Or even with this, actually more similar to the conjunction of Sun to Pluto, we could see idolization of the father figure, like that he's a god, he can do no wrong, he was just perfect, and then this can also show up in relationships as well. That especially for women, relationships with men, it's like they're either like the scum of the earth or they're like a god, and it can be hard for you to really like see people correctly and see yourself correctly. It's either like this big expression of like this inflated ego of like how amazing you are, and we could even see some narcissism actually in the person with this sometimes in some cases. But so it's either that, like the ego is super inflated, or it's not inflated enough. And sometimes we can go through waves of both with this opposition. The opposition can be a very fluctuating energy where it's like we feel so good, we feel on top of the world, we feel so confident, we're doing so well, we're so successful, or the opposite, we feel like we're nothing, we have nothing to show for our lives, we have no confidence, no self-esteem. And you could actually see with the sun too, the sun, it can be a part of our physical body and energy. So with this opposition, I have seen you could see some form of body insecurity, like insecurity in your body, insecurity of your physical appearance, or an over focus there, maybe because of an underlying insecurity. So because you feel so insecure or your ego has been so damaged in your childhood or your life, there's an over focus on your physical appearance, and maybe there's plastic surgery, or there's lots of makeup, or something going on if you're a woman, lots of makeup, or if you're a guy who likes to wear makeup, either way. But yeah, there could be some sort of over focus on that, or it could also show up as an over focus on status and career to attempt to gain the self that was totally annihilated by the early life in the childhood. They might have just not even been noticed as a child. It might have not have been like this crazy abusive childhood. It might have been that there was just no attention on the child at all, and that caused this. Or there could have been a death in the very early childhood that has caused this opposition. So it's a tricky one. It's tough to deal with. People react very strongly to you. People are very triggered by you, sometimes with reason, sometimes not with reason. Sometimes your energy is just too much for some people because of how it's very fascinating. It's very alluring when you have a sun opposite to Pluto. You're very sexy and you know it on some level. There's like a I'm sexy and I know it energy, which then creates that energy field of like being attractive to other people. Now, discernment is key because you can have a tendency to attract people who want you for selfish reasons, or you want them for selfish reasons. Sometimes you have to check your own motivations too. What are your reasons for entering into the relationship, right? You really want to have pure intentions, or the purest of intentions, when you have Sun Pluto opposition, or Sun square Pluto, or even Mars square Pluto, or Mars opposite Pluto. You really want to check your intentions with people as well, because you want to be acting from like the purest place possible. But yeah, people are going to react strongly to you. People can resent you for your authority, because of how authoritative you can be without realizing it, you come off stronger. You come off a lot more egotistical than you actually are with this opposition. You really project an aura of nobody can touch me. I'm the boss. I'm powerful. I can do it. I'm like, and that is often a front for a deep feeling of powerlessness or like the identity loss that has happened early on. So, the ultimate gifts of this is self realization. When the world is crumbling down and you don't realize what's going on because you don't feel like you're the cause, sometimes it can eventually lead to some form of spiritual study, some form of self realization or meditation or therapy or healing or something. And that's really what is needed here to make the best use of this, because once you have even just like a little bit of self-reflection can go a really long way here. You don't need to actually do as much work on yourself with this opposition as other people do because of, like I said at the beginning, that like penetrating quality to your energy. If you just tune it to yourself a little bit, you stop focusing on this drama of the outside world for like 1 second and look at yourself, you can make rapid transformation in your life. You can change your identity so fast. You can change your physical appearance, like, and your energy field just like in a snap. Like, you can come out of the darkness and into the light, and you literally will be different people in the same lifetime. You could be the completely collapsed, broken, insane person and like the highest angel that everything you touch turns to gold and like everything works out for you, and you'll often be multiple different versions of yourself. So there's many different identities that can unfold with this, but the biggest lesson here, or like the highest potential, is like from darkness to light. So your life, your sun is such a big part of your purpose, right? The sun is like where you're going, it's where you're confident, and it really ultimately does lead to happiness when we're expressing the qualities of our sun sign, because confidence is happiness. When we're allowing ourselves to shine, it's like we're getting sunlight, we're getting oxygen, we're like energizing, we're vitalizing, right? Like we're really, gaining energy. So with this opposition, there will be transformations, there will be ego deaths, and some of those ego deaths are purposeful. One of my books says, I can't remember what book it was, but it's like, in another lifetime, you have been the dominating, like aggressive, like forceful, manipulative person. And now in this lifetime, a part of your karma is to deal with that in other people. Now, I don't know about that, but there definitely is lessons to be learned here. There's a reason why you have this opposition. It's not just there for no reason. You're meant to work with this energy. And like I said, a little bit of internal reflection goes a really long way with this one. And it can end up being such a gift, right? And you're able to really understand people. Like, you're able to understand people's motivations that maybe are dark, or like, and you're able to like truly see people. People will be able to confide in you because you've been through so much and you come out stronger every single time. And your life is a series of powerful transformations when you have this opposition. There's a great spiritual power with this opposition. And you will meet people, as much as you meet maybe criminals or people that are abusive and everything like that, that's characteristic of this aspect, you will also meet with people who are like powerful influences on your life, who take you from one lifetime to the next. So there's an ability to attract people who will actually seriously help you too when you have this. And yeah, what else? There could be psychic ability too with this opposition because you can really see people, right? You can see people's motivations. You can see what darkness they're trying to hide. And you don't run from that. You don't fear it in other people. So, yeah, you can definitely really have accurate insight to other people, but will you listen to your own insight? Is the question here. Because sometimes you fear your own power with this. You fear how much you actually know. And you think, oh, it couldn't be that. It couldn't really be as bad as that, or it couldn't really. But sometimes you are intuitively correct with this opposition. Now, you can tend to see things, though, in very black and white energy with this opposition. So you do want to trust your intuition that is coming from like a more neutral place, right? Because we do have this tendency with Pluto oppositions to be like either everything is evil or everything is good, or this person is totally evil or this person is totally good. And it's like, well, there's variables, right? So you don't want to get too black and white with your thinking with this one, because it can create a very extreme personality. But it's understandable why, because of the amount of trauma, the amount of drama that has unfolded in the life. It creates a very intense personality, right? So that's just something to watch out for when you have this opposition, is like super black and white thinking. And even about yourself too, like that you are either like the greatest ever or you completely suck. And it's like, well, maybe there's something in between that that you are when you have this opposition. So I also think that this opposition is really because of your charisma and your like ability to attract powerful people, ability to attract influential people. This could be like a fame indicator. This could be an indicator that you have a big purpose, and one of those purposes might be to allow yourself to be seen, because you weren't seen enough in your early life. It's like you might have to step into that role, step into those shoes of like being seen, because you truly are a work of art with this aspect. Like you are just like, the way that I feel like Sun-Pluto opposition people, your energy is so sparkly, right? And it's because of all the pain you've transmuted, all that you've walked through to get to this place of confidence. It's taken you so much. Maybe you're still working on it, but ultimately you end up being such a magnetic, powerful, beautiful, alluring person. And it's really good for any like work in business. Like you naturally can achieve with this one because you are a dominating force. You don't back down. You can be relentless with this. So you do usually end up being successful in what you choose to do, but you want to really make sure you're acting like from your highest self, because there can be that temptation to have power over others or listen to the voice of your ego rather than the voice of your soul with this one. And a daily choice will have to be made of like the two wolves, right? Which one are you going to listen to? That is crucial with this opposition. So yeah, I'd love to know your experience of this aspect. If you have it in your natal chart, I'd love to know how it has been for you. Let me know, you guys, and thank you for watching. Okay, bye.